Hello, my friends. Year 13, week number 656. We're in the garment district because today was class number 4 of sewing class. 4th class and the last class. The point of today's class was to work on our projects and get further along with them, ideally finishing them. I did not finish my project. However, with this class that we took, they give everyone one free complimentary class for the 102 class, which is the class that comes after 101. And in the one free complimentary class, it's an opportunity to actually complete your project if you didn't get it done yet. So that is what I'm going to be scheduling next. We're going to be completing our project in the complimentary 102 course.
Kevinisomoto says welcome to the vlog.
So I actually did sign up for the 102 course. Now I tried to sign up for this coming week, but the time slot that I wanted was already filled. So I scheduled it for 2 weeks from now. So 2 weeks from now, I'll be going back to sewing class in the garment district to do my very last class, which will be class 102, in which I complete my sewing project. Okay, my friends, here is where we are at. Update on the short situation, sewing project. This is something new I learned today. It's let's say you have a pair of pants or a button-up shirt, and obviously you have the buttons, but then on the other side of the placket you have the buttonholes themselves. And so today I learned how to cut and sew buttonholes onto a piece of clothing. This is where the drawstring is going to come out of so that you can tie it in the front. So basically for the last class, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this in. I think on my own time, I'm going to finish stringing through this elastic, have it come out of this side, and measure it. So that way, when I go into the next class, all I have to do is sew it down, thread this thing through. And then after that, the only last thing to do is probably just do these hems at the very bottom. Because there's I have the fabric tape to line the opening of where the leg comes out, and that's the last part that I really need a sewing machine for in order to complete. But this is probably 90% finished at this point. Between now and when my next class is, sometime in this next month, I want to go and look into buying my very own sewing machine. This is Central Park over here to the left. There's an area of Central Park that I've never been to that I've always wanted to see because it's a very prominent memory in my mind of a scene from Home Alone 2, Lost in New York. And so we're gonna go and visit it right now. In the movie, there's a scene where Kevin is running away from Marv and Harry and then runs through this area, and there's a wide shot of him where he passes by the fountain, and then that's when he heads to the hotel right after that. And we're gonna pass by the area right here. All right, so this here's the fountain in front of us here. Except I think the original shot was shot from this angle going this way. So it would have been from, I think if I remember correctly, the camera was probably placed on that side over there, and it was shooting in this direction. I was wondering why this is called the arcade, and I'd always heard that term associated with architecture, and I think that is why it's called the arcade, and it has to do with these features down here of this, these archways with the pillars, this sort of architectural design. So I can only find one single clip on all of YouTube that showed this particular scene from the movie where he runs through Central Park. Okay, I believe this would have been the angle. So it would have been shot from here. Or maybe it was in the tunnel more? Anyways, I remember he runs out here, runs across this area, and then passes the fountain over here. For some reason in my mind, I remembered this scene as having been shot from one particular angle, having him run through kind of from the side, and then you see him hop into the back of the carriage and all that whole scene by the fountain. But in reality, you see him run through, but the camera is like pretty much head like straight on. He runs through, and then the whole entire scene is shot where the arcade is in the background, and then all the characters are in the foreground, but it's like the camera is mounted in the middle. So I spent a lot of time in this area of the park here. And what I was doing is, because I had my camera, I was setting up a bunch of time lapses, just different angles of this same scene. And the reason I was doing this is I always try to gather B-roll from these different areas where I think I could use this footage for something different in the future. And it's just good to gather these shots that are kind of evergreen, because I imagine scenarios where I can edit them into Instagram posts, or if I need to use them for different scenes, maybe in a future video where I need to refer back to something. It's just good to have these iconic locations kind of like stashed away. And I think this was a good opportunity for this sort of thing. So I was just gathering a bunch of different shots of the same thing. Now, my favorite shot that I took was this shot right here. It was very centered up. I was standing on the top part. In the background here, this is the Central Park Mall, which is like giant strip with trees flanking the side of the path. And then it leads down the staircase, which goes down into the arcade and where the fountain is. Around this time last year, I was on 5th Ave and I filmed a super long time lapse, very similar in style to this one, of the Empire State Building. You know, I've saved it. I've held on to it all these months later. And right now I'm finally editing together a social clip that I want to make with the Empire State Building. And I want to get that one done before I start on this Central Park one here. That's all I have for this week's video. It's been a short one. I don't have any plans for next week yet, but we'll figure something out. That'll be in next week's video. Thank you very much for watching. It's been year 13, week number 656. Next week will be week number 657.